Ever MBA Public Speaker of the Year Championship. Organized by the Business Communications Club. I could get the move on that. So yeah, the theme today is lessons from unexpected places. And I'm Ankita, I'm the president of the club. Looking back to my life, I was thinking like, what is an unexpected place where I've learned the key lesson from? And growing up, actually, I was very, very scared of public speaking. So much so that I could not imagine myself to be here in front of these many people. I remember there was one time I did manage to drag myself on a stage, but 5 seconds later I ran off. And then I pushed myself, challenged myself, and it has been a journey. And I've learned quite a bit in this journey, right? I've learned a lot of techniques, I've learned a lot of formulas on how you can become a better public speaker. But one of the most important lessons in this unexpected journey has been the people. It's the people that challenge you. It's the people that give you a safe space to become the best versions of yourself. It's the people that allow you to be those better versions. And that's why when we started last year, we wanted to create a community. We wanted to get all of you together to create a safe space. We joke that Business Communications Club is a baby club, right? Yes, it is all our baby. We have been nurturing it quite a bit. But also, it just started a little while back. It's a very new club in the university. We've done quite a bit. We have had a lot of forums this year where we've given people the opportunity to come on stage and practice. We've had podcasts where we've interviewed professors and really understood what makes them a good communicator, right? Because they speak among 70 students every single day. We've also had a lot of workshops, again by our amazing professors. TEDx, which was our flagship event, was not able to happen. We were not able to acquire the license, but that turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Because here we are in this event, which is because TEDx is not happening. But we do have a surprise for you. We have acquired the license for TEDx for next year already. So it is going to be an even more exciting year. Now with that, I want to thank Cormac, I want to thank Julie, I want to thank the TEDx team, which have put together this event for you, and it will be a blast. Our stories is what brings us together. And today, you're going to hear some phenomenal stories. So over to you, Miguel and Julie. And before that, I also want to invite Adam on stage, please. Adam has been a club mentor. He's been a source of great support for us. So Adam, we hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Ankita. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for coming today. Thank you very much, Ankita, for inviting me. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Adam. I work for IESE in the Career Development Centre, and I'm the lead for the MBA students on what's called career management. So this is all of the kind of general careers planning sessions, etc. As Ankita mentioned, I'm also the mentor of the Business Communications Club, and I've been really thrilled this year to be working with the team, particularly with Ankita, recently with Miguel, also with Zach, who's been very active this year in organising some of the events you've been doing. Fantastic podcasts. Really pleased that you've got this off the ground. It looks like a really good event, and my thanks to Cormac as well for making this all happen. Congratulations on TEDx next year, and that's pretty much all I have to say. So I'll pass it back to you, but thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Adam. Let's put our hands together for Miguel and Kelly.
So hello everyone, welcome. My name is Miguel. Most of you know me because I'm a student like all of you. And for the first year, well, I'm just a second year student. But next to me, I have Carrie. Carrie is a very experienced public speaker, broadcaster, journalist, writer, everything you can imagine related to communication. She has worked over 25 years in big companies such as the BBC, Sky, and ITV. And today she's going to be joining me as host of the event. How are you, Carrie?
Overwhelmed by that introduction.
So today, the way we're going to run the event is we're going to have two judges, which I would like to introduce now. And would you be kind enough to come into the stage, Cormac and Tulia, please? A round of applause for our judges. Thank you.
This is the real Julia and the real Cormac. Thank you very much indeed, both of you, for joining us today. These two are super communicators in their field. There's no doubt about it. Very experienced moderators, judges, coaches. So speakers will be getting the best possible judging you can imagine today. So first of all, I'd like to ask you, Cormac, what essentially you're looking for from our speakers today.
Today, my role is to focus a lot more on the content of what you're saying, how you're saying it, how you're getting that across. As Ankita just said, stories weave us all together. And so what I'm looking for today is somebody that can come up here and with their content and with their energy and with the way they move around the stage, they can weave us inside their story and we can all learn lessons from them.
Sure. And what about the specific judging criteria, Julia? What will you be looking at?
For me, I will concentrate more in the impact of the message on myself from the perspective that you all becoming leaders in industries in the future. And I want to see you here coming confident and with a message that you truly believe in the meaning of that message. So it's going to be a mixture of your authenticity, your stage presence, your body language. I'll be looking through you two.
Well, I've had a sneak preview at the rehearsals about an hour ago. I think you're going to be very, very pleasantly surprised. Just a quick word on the theme today, lessons from unexpected places. I wonder if you two could perhaps share some of your own experience there. Cormac.
About 25 years ago, I was living and working in Caracas in Venezuela. I had to go and take a meeting. I was sent very bizarre directions to get to a place. Got completely lost. Before I had left the building, I was told, don't worry if you get lost because El Avila, which is the mountain in Caracas, is always north. I got desperately lost. I got burnt to a crisp. I could see my skin flying off my face and heading up into the Venezuelan sun. Got back to the office furious, and I said to the man, you told me that if I got lost, the Avila was north. He said, yeah, that's true. I said, well, I got lost, the Avila was behind me. So I got this quizzical look, and then he said, uh-huh. I said, what are you trying to tell me? I said, well, I got lost, and I couldn't see the Avila. It wasn't in front of me. So he said, you're trying to tell me that every time you turn around, you take north with you. So I learned, and I was about to be hospitalized for burns, I learned that it's very easy for people to think that you're stupid. And from that point on, I've never ever admitted to people that I had no sense of direction and secretly still think that north is whatever direction I'm facing.
Thank you for that. Julia.
Well, for me, an event in my life which was it caused a big impact on me was I was invited to one of those women's networking events many years ago here in Barcelona. A room of about, I don't know, 50, 60 women is seated around, big tables, conversation, you can imagine, loud, laughing. And as a newbie, we were asked to introduce ourselves. So the other ladies stood up and were introducing themselves, but then the noise continued and I was there watching and a little bit nervous. It was way before this communication journey that I'm in now. And I was thinking, what am I going to say, and etc. And those ladies were introducing themselves, but the noise continued. When it was my turn, I was nervous. I stood up and I started speaking. And all of a sudden, there was silence in the room, and everybody was looking at me. It was a feeling of extreme confusion for me at the moment, thinking, why are they so quiet? But I kept talking and introducing myself. But that moment, I sat down and I thought to myself, I have something important to say. Because when I say, without even thinking, people make themselves silent and listen, I have to be very responsible about what I say. So that was my big lesson.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Without further ado, we're going to commence with the speaker. So I'd like to introduce one of my colleagues from the MBA 24. His name is Tavish Khan from India, and the name of his speech is Judgmental Education. An applause for Tavish, please.
Hi, everyone. How many of you have walked into a room and felt like you did not belong there? How many of you have done some work in your life that you felt was beneath you? Do you know what is the source of that? Ladies and gentlemen, it's bias. Where does bias originate from? Is it the place we grew up in? Is it the place where I did my undergraduation from? Or is it the place where I had my first job in? The answer to that, my friends, is all of the above. Affinity bias, or more known as similarity bias, is the human tendency to unconsciously circumvent towards features, towards people who are familiar with them, who we are familiar with. Now, today is the story of how I'm going to tell you during my entrepreneurial journey, I went back to my hometown and I was able to overcome at least some of my biases. Now, all those operational management classes would have taught you that the most important thing in your supply chain is fixing your bottleneck. Now, what did I think my bottleneck was? Was it the fact that I was working with people who I considered to be not as smart as I am? Was it the fact that I was in a town which I was unfamiliar with, despite belonging from there? No, the most important bottleneck was my biases. Now, in my case, quite literally, the mountain was never going to come to Muhammad. Muhammad had to go to the mountain. And so, basically, I was manufacturing electric cables, and this part, the nozzle, is a part that breaks down quite frequently. So I decided to locally source it. I went to a supplier and I began to explain to him in typical engineering fashion. I took on engineering drawing and I began to explain to him my requirements. I began saying things like square millimeter, centimeter, and solid steel aluminum carbide, and so forth. I rambled on and on for about 5-6 minutes before I realized that he's staring at me the same way that all of you are staring at the slide before I explain to you what it is. Basically, even though I was speaking Hindi, because I knew he was not familiar with English, but to him, my English was like Russian. To him, he was staring at me in the exact same manner that I stared at my Spanish teacher on the first day of IESE when she asked me, "Hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿Está bien?" Well, I ran out of Rahim's shop as fast as I could with my biases in my head, and I vowed to never look back. I decided to outsource my parts to a local supplier in Delhi, and I began to ship it from there. Easy enough. Wrong. You see, I had a particularly large order to fulfill, and all the 3 sets of the nozzles that I had stored in my factory, all of them had broken down. Now you could think to yourself, Kavish, why didn't you just buy more sets of nozzles? Guys, I was bootstrapping my own firm and I had limited budget for each and every part of my business, including my spare parts. So I called my guy up in Delhi and I told him, look, it's a very big order. It's one of my most prestigious orders that I've received so far. I need to get it shipped overnight. I need this, please help me. The guy on the other end, he listens to me and he says, Kavish, I'm so sorry. It's just not possible. It's impossible. It's impossible. You cannot do it in 2 days. Now, friends, in all your experiences, let me tell you, if an Indian guy says no to work, it means that you are in deep shit. Because no matter how low the probability is, we always try to figure out and how do we try to complete the project, no matter what the project is or the task is at hand. With my tail between my legs, I went back humbly to this guy. I decided to try a different approach. I was more patient. I was more considerate. I took my cousin along because he spoke the local dialect of Hindi. I sat down his son with us in the meeting because obviously sons are more tech savvy than fathers are. And so he could probably understand better exactly what it is that I need from him. To his credit, he tried to say random numbers to me of the sizes. I started saying square millimeter. I would say number, he would say square millimeter. Number, square millimeter. This went on for quite a while. Until I remembered that there was a ratio that I had studied long ago in my engineering days. And there was a correlation between the two. What happens when an engineer gets delivered a ratio? Can you guess? Anyone? Well, come on, guys, you're MBA students. I prepared an Excel sheet. It was as simple as that. And once I had my Excel model figured out, once I had my calculations figured out, I realized that I could easily give him the order. And to his credit, Rahim did a fantastic job with the nozzles. And I was able to deliver my order on time with the help of Rahim and his nozzles. I had many important lessons taught to me that day. Some of them being, it wasn't the fact that Rahim and I could not work together the first time. It was the fact that Rahim and I judged each other very poorly the first time. I judged Rahim on the basis of his poor communication skills and his lack of ability to not able to understand the standard terms that we use in the industry. He judged me for my posh attitude, and he judged me for the fact that I could not explain to him in simple terms what I really needed from him. However, the next time around, when I was more patient, I took away a few lessons which I want to share with you. The lessons from unexpected place were as follows. Your education can sometimes chain you. Please allow yourself to break free. Arrogance will always repel, and humility will always attract. Your attitude is always going to be more important than the knowledge that you carry with you. The best solutions are often the simplest ones. There is another lesson that I want to share with you all, but it's not in this slide, but it is in this slide. Remember when I said after you in the beginning of the speech, did you ever think that any work or any surroundings was beneath you? My friends, never ever let any surrounding or any source of work undermine you. Always take each and every opportunity to do the best you can, and you never know where are the lessons and which unexpected place are you going to learn what from. Thank you.
And the judges. So it's gonna be sort of like a master chef or America's Got Talent dynamic. I want very quick feedback. You maybe can play like good cop, bad cop on that. How do you feel?
Good talk, good talk.
No, the kind of vibe I got from the audience is that they already knew you were the bad one. I felt that when they were listening to your story. I could feel it. Okay, I'll go first. I really loved your story, but I think for all of us when we're giving speeches, we have to think of things that are really going to pop with the audience. So I think if you'd open your speech with fix your bottleneck, because then after you go through the speech, you're talking about a linguistic challenge, an educational challenge, a challenge where you're being judged, a challenge where things aren't working, supply chain, all of that. So you could have used that metaphor of fix your bottleneck again and again and again. And then when you came up to the end of your speech, because it did kind of dance around a little bit, is the message that we shouldn't judge, is the message that, you know, nothing is beneath us, is the message that, whereas a simple little phrase like fix your bottleneck, you can use it again and again and again, and it's different roads into everything. So I would have suggested that you do something like that, and then you could have ended on a stronger high. I'll now pass it over to the bad cop.
That was good cop.
Those of you who have been in my class, that was good cop.
I think I'm better than that. I loved many things about you here. And one thing that I even mentioned here, you talked about, learn about arrogance, and you definitely learned because you're very charismatic. You're a person that it's pleasant to look at. You have very good voice, and your pronunciation is very clear. And very important point, because we are foreigners here, managing a language that's not ours with different accents, and our pronunciation is very important. And I struggle sometimes with mine. So it's something to be aware of, and I could understand you clearly, and that for me was very good. And I like the way you showed us this and that, this movement. I always love movement on stage, but in the other hand, you stayed here a little bit more stuck, and you start moving a little bit, and your movements were not aligned with what you're saying. When you did this and that, it was great because it was this and that we could understand. But when you start walking without any connection what you're saying, because maybe you're thinking and then you're walking, that makes us a little bit confusing. And if it's back and forth sideways, can be a little bit dizzy. One suggestion I give to you is allow us to receive you, because you came on stage, you start talking, and I was still organizing myself, finding my pen, and then when I realized you had already started, own this space, and this is for everybody. This is your space. Own it, enjoy it, and let us to be ready for you. That's what I would say.
Can I say two more quick, because you've inspired me now. Pauses are going to break up the content so that people can follow you easier. And also when we're going for slides, which as we're becoming leaders, we're going to leave behind us, go for pictures. Once you start putting up sentences that you're already saying, it takes away the impact of your sentences. Okay? Thanks.
Well, there's a good back. I think we went the whole way around in that one. We're going to move on now to our second speaker, who is Isabella Ebola. She's from the Philippines originally, and after leaving the Philippines to do her MBA, Isa has reflected a lot about her experiences in Europe, Asia, and most recently Africa. She works to bring the perspectives of Asians and women to light, and is dedicated to mentoring young people. So a warm round of applause, please, for Isa. Some people live for the fortune. Some people live just for the fame. Some people live for the power. Fortune, fame, power. I left Philippines here to Spain in my search for fortune and fame. But it took a trip all the way to Nairobi, Kenya, to bring the Philippines back into my heart. Kibera slum, the largest poor area in all of Africa. I was surrounded by high school girls who had dreams. They wanted to be doctors, engineers, lawyers to help their community. And I felt like an alien standing there. I was so inspired, and I thought, who am I to talk about myself? But we broke up into groups, and I found it in me to go ahead and share my story. I opened my heart. I said, I felt a lot of fear and guilt moving from my home to see the world. But I remembered how education is something people will never be able to take away from me. There was a girl, a quiet one, standing by me, and she said, "What inspired you?" It was the strong women in my life, starting with my mother. I saw how they found a way to study abroad, and I saw myself in them. Two things happened. First, the girls pulled me aside and continued to tell me all about their dreams. Second, my own MBA classmates went ahead and shared their own stories. They opened their hearts as well. And they approached me saying, "Isa, that was amazing. Thank you for sharing." I said, "Thanks. I just realized I'm close to getting my period." They said, "No, it was great." And that's when I realized that I have the power to inspire. Adventures keep coming. And I was with my friends on safari, and our Jeep fell into a ditch. And as we were waiting to get rescued, we had to pee. And there was no proper bathroom anywhere in sight. The men all went individually, picked 1 tree each, went like that. But I'll never forget it. 6 of us gathered in a circle, held up our jackets, and said, "Okay, squat there. Don't worry, I got you. Who's next? Okay, you go over there. There's a hole there. See if you can aim for it." I have no idea where it's going. And I'll never forget that safari sisterhood of mine that came to protect my dignity. And I laughed and I had fun, and women helping women. But I was also frustrated. Why are women shaped in such a way that we need help for such a basic thing? But my second thought was, what's wrong with that? Calling for help, leaning on each other, working together through problems. That's powerful.
I go back to my roots. In the Philippines, in ancient times, women were seen as powerful, and even more powerful when they're on their period. Because the period is a sign that a woman can not only carry life, but can create. Fellow women, have you ever thought of your period as a sign of power? It comes with pain. We all experience pain, men and women. But something about it evokes and invites us to the things that make us feel the most human. Empathy, creativity, connection. There's power when you choose to share an inspiring story. There's power when you lean on others to get through a problem and work together. And there's power when you move others in their minds, hearts, and souls. As surely as the blood that flows inside all of us and keeps us alive. So forget about fortune. Stop chasing fame, but recognize your power. I searched everywhere, but what happened that really clicked, the moment that mattered for me, did not happen in Philippines, did not even happen in Kenya. It happened right here. At a moment that I made a deep connection with the power that's inside me. And that power is in you, in you, in you. Some people want it all, but I don't want nothing at all. If it ain't you, baby, if I ain't got you, baby. Some people want diamond rings, some just want everything, but everything means nothing if I ain't got you.
Wonderful. 30 seconds each.
Okay, there
I
is-
hope you started with a speech with a song and ended with a song. That was phenomenal.
No, because when I have an audience, I like to try to keep them. Start singing. People will be running out of the room. Okay, beautiful singing voice. Don't think it worked for you. I think you had about 2 speeches in there. For me, the speech really took off when we were starting to talk about the journey with the women, and you were all trying to find a way to help each other go to the bathroom, and then we moved into the power of the women and periods and what that can mean across cultures. And for me, that's when the entire speech really started to resonate. It came alive, and I think the first part of it could have worked in a different way. I was in this scenario with young girls. We were at the importance of education. It didn't really link for me. So I think whenever we're writing speeches, we have to think, look, what is the story? Where does it start? What is it I want to transmit? And if you'd started from the story of going to the bathroom, moving through the power of periods, what it means for women, all of that power, I think it would have been a much more powerful speech for you because you would have had more time to develop the themes. But again, the courage to get up and sing twice is also highly commendable.
Julia, your key takeaways.
I would say the same. It's very brave to come on stage and sing. Well done. And following us, Cormac, I would just say simple is always better. I think you had too many elements in your story that sometimes was difficult for us to connect and to follow your storyline. I got lost in the storylines. I saw too many things and I didn't have time to internalize them.
Thank you both. Thanks so much.
Hey,
Julia,
thank you.
congratulations.
That will be the least I've heard to look and speak in our lives. What happened there?
Up next, we have Manan Pacha from India and MBA 25. An A procrastinator, Manan is a self-proclaimed expert at making lemonades from all the lemons life sends his way. Being a debt-ridden first-year MBA, he has been trying to lighten the load by hustling at poker tables and working as a part-time scuba diving professional in Costa Brava. Going deep makes him happy, but he thinks it also makes him wise. He wants you to be the watch of that, the judge of that. Applause for
Steven Spielberg ruined my life 10 years before I was even born. The movie Jaws was released in 1975. But the fear of sharks it instills in people is something I have to deal with even today, every time I conduct a scuba diving course. Hello, IESE family, fellow students, fellow contestants, and judges. I'm Manan, and I've been a scuba diver since 2011. This is me after some of my earlier days of scuba diving. And this is me on perhaps my 600th dive. I'm also a trained scuba diving professional, so I take students scuba diving. And I've also recently joined the realms of technical diving, where I hope to go to places that few people ever go to. So, coming back to the sharks. Data says that the odds of a person dying in a plane crash is 1:5,051. The odds of you dying in a car accident is 1:84. And the odds of you dying with a silly common cold is 1:63. But the odds of you dying from a shark attack is 1:4,332,817. Statistically speaking, it is safer to be underwater. No one's going to cough on you. So, what does this tell us? Well, that the impression that all of us have about sharks is grossly misrepresented. Thanks to Mr. Spielberg. As future managers, make sure that you're not just relying on your intuition and things that you've heard. As my business analytics professor would say, in God we trust, everybody else must bring data. Now, as a scuba diver and as a technical diver at that, there are a lot of things that one must learn. This is what an amateur technical diver looks like. When he has a lot of complexities, he's dealing with partial pressures and oxygen toxicities and buoyancies and time limits and a whole lot of things. It's all very basic. But when you're doing all of it at the same time, which are all very critical at 50 meters underwater, this is what you become after you've had enough practice. This is what you become after you've had had a lot of practice. But the important thing to learn is that getting from here to here takes time. It takes effort, it takes practice, it takes dedication. Rome was not built in a day. As future leaders, we are going to be learning how to become managers. We're going to learn how to become CEOs. Some of us will need to learn how to be parents or caregivers. The learning that I would like to share is do not be too hard on yourself. Do know that that journey takes time, mastery takes time, and that you'll get there and plan for it. Rather than being hard on yourself, that this is what someone else is doing, this is what perfection looks like, and that's what I want to be on day one. When I conduct scuba diving courses, most often than not, I have my students come to me within the first few hours of starting the course that we find it very strange, the whole feeling of weightlessness, not being able to scratch your eye when you want to, not being able to talk for extended periods of time when you're underwater. Personally, I would find it strange if they do not find it strange. Well, you need to realize that any diver can call off or end any dive for any reason at any time. This is a scuba diving creed which has been instilled in us. This is something that ensures and helps us ensure that we are balancing the goals of scuba diving, of having fun in a safe way at the same time. And this statement of any diver can call off any dive for any reason at any point of time, no judgments made, no questions asked, is a very important part which is ingrained in our DNA. And this allows us to ensure that divers can speak up without any shame, without any concerns, without feeling embarrassed, without being peer pressured. And this helps balance those goals. And as future leaders, I would urge you, within your organizations, go ahead and create these creeds which will allow people to display certain acts which otherwise they would feel inhibited by. Go ahead and make sure that you create that environment where people can speak up and people can ensure that they are not being judged all the time and they are not going to be basically facing retributions all the time for things that they otherwise would feel inhibited by. Finally, my favorite dive spot in the world is the Oman Islands, which is off the east coast of Peninsular Malaysia. I've been diving there for close to 10 years. And generally in Southeast Asia, the underwater topography is something which is really nice. It's really vivid, a lot of coral. But over time, I've seen the landscape underwater change. And when you see these changes over short periods of time, it's not very visible. But this is what I saw over 10 years. So over the 10-year period, the corals have really changed. And my first thought was, if they all become like this, what am I going to do? My hobby is dead. I was more concerned about that because these changes are completely irreversible. So I thought to myself that what can I do? Upon some reflection, I realized that the first thing is I need to be a little more environmentally conscious. Small acts, making sure you switch off the lights and the fan and the aircon when you don't need them, switching off the running water when you're brushing your teeth, when you're wasting water and stuff like that. These small acts make a lot of difference. So my reflection again on this is the planet is changing. We really go ahead. We really need to make some changes to our lifestyles to ensure that we have a sustainable future. And we owe it not just to ourselves, but also to our future and our past. Finally, I'd like to say these are share with you some of the friends I have made. This guy here is Roger. This guy here is Tom. We kind of name them. We find them on the reef playing around, and it's fun to hang out with them at times. So initially, I would always tell myself that the deeper I go, the happier I get. But upon further reflection, I've kind of now realized that the deeper I go, the wiser I get, because you can turn around these lessons into many different ways. Finally, for the IESE students here, we've got a scuba diving network within IESE. Feel free to scan this QR code to join our WhatsApp group, or this one to join our campus group page. Thank you.
So, to the judges, please, no extra points for stripping on the stage, okay? It wasn't advised as part of the criteria.
I thought that was an invitation.
You gave us, everybody, a very good visual demonstration of how everything on stage needs to be intentional. When he came on stage with that long coat and wearing those shoes, I am a visual person. Immediately, I said, this doesn't match. What's happening here? He made me curious, and I was attentive to see what he's going to say. When you started your presentation, you talked about the shark. My brain is like, oh, that shoots sharks. There's something behind that coat. You see how our brain works trying to figure out what's going on? So this is why it's so important that when we are preparing what we are going to say, of course, we cannot foresee everything that the audience is going to think, but at least that what we have planned is not aligned, and you did it very well. So they're looking at me already and wanting me to shut up, but I want to say you one other thing. You have amazing pictures. You did not need to have those long texts, because every time you have long text, I disconnect from you because I start reading. And especially the main message that you had, you could have another picture of some diver is struggling, and then explain to us that we can call for help anytime. That would get fixed in our mind faster. That's it.
Okay, for me, Manan, it was a bit disappointing in the end because you came out really, really strong in the beginning. You had a fantastic connection. You got that piece, the humor in. I felt we went into the middle section, and then I wasn't sure, is it a personal development speech, a leadership speech, an environmental speech? It was like you were holding yourself back. And I think if you're getting that connection straight away in the beginning with your content, you're making them laugh. You know, nobody's going to cough underwater, all the stuff. But you had them there, and then you kind of lost them because you lost kind of confidence in yourself a bit. And then at the end, we come back with Tom and Roger. But this brings us back to making the right choices about your content and deciding where you're going to go and what is the message you're trying to get across. Because establishing that connection with an audience is not easy, and you did it amazingly well, and then you lost it. Oh, thank you. Okay.
I have just one thing to say about that. When we feel that, it's when you start sighing. You were like,
right.
In that moment, I feel that you were nervous, anxious, or something's not right with you, and we just.
Thank you.
The audience, give them what they want. They're laughing, they're happy, they're liking it. Forget your slides, work with what's in front of you. Okay.
Thanks very much indeed. Julia, it's been a fantastic week. I certainly enjoyed it, and I love your outfit. Well done. Speaker now, and this is Sergio Medina from Peru. His speech title is Lessons from Mr. Brightside. Sergio has done a bit of everything professionally before the MBA, but his passion for music has never changed, and in fact, it has only increased. So a warm welcome, please, to Sergio on the stage.
Yeah, I used to hate that song. I hate it. At least that's what I was saying before playing with a band, with a guitar, in front of 1,000 people. Now I love it. And believe it or not, there are three main things that I did learn from this intro guitar that are going to be very useful in my life. I want to share. That has been very useful. It's going to be very useful in my life. Let me share it with you. So first, let me give you a little bit of background, okay? So I play guitar in a band called B+ here in IESE. It's a student-led band here. We played in front of 1,000 people like 2 months ago in a very, very big event here at IESE. So how it's composed, like, yeah, there's a bass player, there's one rhythm guitar, the drums, 3 singers, the keyboards, and here I am. This is like the station here. This is my happy place. This is my world. Right here, I spend one of the happiest moments I have had in my life. And I keep watching the video over and over because that makes me feel happy. And this is our band. We are very passionate about it. But believe it or not, and we don't have a leader. We are really passionate about it. There's a side project for us. But the things that how we make decisions here are going to be useful for you for any hobby that you will have, or maybe any side project or your work or anything that you want to do, or even for family decisions. So these are the main things that I learned from the intro. Right. So first, yeah, I didn't like that song, like at all, because I don't like the intro, I don't like the rhythm, I don't like the killers, I don't like random flowers just singing around and jumping like that. No, I don't like that. But when we were proposing the songs, after the first rehearsal, watching my band mates just nodding their heads, feeling very happy about it, with that smile that have no reason, but more like a natural emotion of happiness, that may convince me. So that makes me think that sometimes in business and in life, you have to be open to new outcomes and new potential things, because in diversity, things will work. And at the end, I love the song. So you have to be open to new ideas. The second lesson that I want to share is about respect. So we were rehearsing in one time, and I discovered I was kind of very perfectionist in what I'm doing. So I went to our drummer. So I was like, hey, Thomas, I think you can be more stitched to the song, because you said like you can be like playing with the intros and that. And that night he sent me a message about why do you keep focusing on your things before criticizing others? I have been paying the studio for 3 times, 3 hours in different songs, and you are continuing being sloppy about that guitar intro. You're putting your guitar so much upside. You're keeping make mistakes. So before you critique me, do your own stuff. Kind of impacted me. Because then was a very good friend of mine, but at the end I identified that I was kind of bossy. So whenever you are very passionate about something, you might be like, it's on your own thing, all the projects about me. No, you have to be respectful and understand that in business and life, there are some contributions and unique contributions at the end, and the beer outcome will be a great thing. And the third lesson is about overcoming mistakes. So the first song that we played in that 30-minute playlist was Mr. Right Side. So, Mr. Right Side start with the guitar intro, right? So you go with that, I play my guitar, I connect it, do the right distortion, start making some mistakes, and then I stopped because I was doing it bad. That kind of silence only lasted for 10 seconds of the song, but for me it lasted for 2 hours. That part completely killed me. I cannot enjoy the next 30 minutes of the presentation. After that, because everybody was happy jumping around me, I thought that they were feeling kind of compassionate to me. Like, okay, I know you miss it, but we're gonna be happy. And after the song, after the celebration, everybody was telling me, you did a great job, but I couldn't believe it. I was just talking about the mistakes. But then I saw the video and I noticed that everybody made mistakes. The drummer just threw a stick and dropped the drumstick out of it. Nobody noticed. And nobody noticed my mistakes at the beginning come from the people. So I understood that sometimes you don't have to focus on not falling, but just keeping yourself again on your foot, and no matter what the mistake, just continue on. So I'm very happy because I have one opportunity more. On April 22nd, we're going to do our farewell show there, and I'm very happy because we're going to do 3 things. First, we're going to pick up songs that can represent and make us happy as a group. The second is we're going to respect each one of our unique contributions and our efforts. And third, and most importantly, if I miss an intro, a riff, a part, or a complete song, or if I miss or fail the complete set list, I'm not going to give a shit about it, because we are gonna rock that night, because I am passionate about it, and my team is very passionate about it. Thank you.
Coaches come onto the stage, and I think, like all good musicians, Julia and Cormac, Sergio has real presence. I really felt that. I don't know about you, Julia.
I was impressed with one thing. You came and you, of course, a bit nervous. And this is another thing for everybody. Put yourself in the mindset that you are going to do something. You're 1 minute there. Put yourself in that I'm going to come into a different space to do something. Because when you come in a rush, you got a little bit confused and nervous. Took you a while to really get started.
Yeah.
And you know where you got started? When you came here and you said, this is the best place for me. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing how that hit something in your brain that you then own that space and you started enjoying the story that you're telling us. Even when you gave that pause to let us know about the feeling that happened at that pause, at that moment, that you realized that something was not right. So would be my big suggestion for you. Own the place. You're a musician. You were connected with the music. Own the stage. Not only that space, but own the rest of the stage.
I agree with Tuli, and the speech started here. This is my happy space, get their attention. It's very confusing in places now. So don't tell the audience, I'm going to tell you 3 things, and then you're going to do a little performance about the band, and then you're back here, and then we're back here, and then there's 3 things. So tell them, open, respect, and then explore them, expand them, go into them, because now the audience is following you. I think the way that you acted out various things in the band was wonderful. And when you got to the end of it, you were talking about the gig that's coming up, there was a lot of passion there. But I think if you'd reorganized yourself in terms of making it easier logically for us to go with you, then you would have had them following you do much more. Whereas I was sitting thinking, what 3 things? When are the 3 things going to come? So don't prompt something and then take another couple of minutes to get there. You know? And the IESE student who's a perfectionist, that's a surprise. Right? Well done. Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Up next, we have Pratishta Mahajan from India, an MBA 25. She's gonna tell us a story about her lessons learned from being a middle child. And by coincidence, she is the 5th of the 10 speakers tonight, so apparently she can escape from being a middle child. An applause for her.
I grew up with a label, one I did not choose, but one that shaped who I am. I am a middle child. I grew up in India with a very rebellious elder sister and a gay younger brother. And as you know, India doesn't have a lot of outspoken women and gay people. This was such a problem. This is my family. You can see my sister and my brother. While growing up, I used to feel that a lot of my parents' attention was focused on them because of their nature. There was a point while growing up, I used to feel that my parents they already have a daughter. Why do they even need me in the middle? I was suffering from the quintessential middle child syndrome. But let me tell you something. Being a middle child, it's not about the birth order. It is more about a feeling that may be pervasive to almost everybody here. I want you to think about 3 things. Think about these 3 situations. Have you ever worked really hard on something and it all went unnoticed? Have you ever entered a social event or a party and felt like, I don't belong here? Or have you grown up with a sibling or a cousin who's better at sports, more athletic, or smarter than you? These are some of the feelings that middle children feel while growing up. 2 years back, something very unexpected happened. I came across a book that changed my life. The title of the book was The Secret Power of Middle Children. I thought to myself, what the hell, what secret power are these guys talking about? And I was really intrigued. To my surprise, those 250 words opened my worldview. They changed my perspective. The book helped me understand the feeling of being forgotten, of going unnoticed that I used to experience while growing up. Actually helped me to be more independent. The fact that I had less parental attention, it forced me to take care of myself, to walk through my own problems and become more self-reliant. The book gave me another perspective. This need to find a space for myself in the family, to find a space for myself in the world, it also pushed me to be different. I remember taking up painting as a hobby only because none of my siblings were doing that. And I'm so glad that I stuck to it for the last 6 to 8 years. And I host my own sessions and I've been painting, and that is something that I'm really, really passionate about. But for me, the most important lesson came in the form of empathy. Before reading that book, I would have never associated being an empathetic person to being a middle child. However, the book made me realize that the situations that I was in, that I was at the same time an older sibling and a younger sibling, and I was working through a lot of sibling and family dynamics, that I started understanding people's emotions. and that helped me develop empathy. The book made me realize in real sense the power of perspective, how transformational perspective can be. Suddenly, I was viewing everything in my life from a brand new lens. There's something very interesting that I found which said your perspective can either be your prison or your passport, and we get to choose it. But changing our perspective is a little hard. It involves changing the narratives that you may have built for yourself. For example, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, or I'm an Indian but I still don't know math enough. It can be any narrative that you've built. It involves challenging those notions that you've internalized. It involves shifting your focus, shifting your perspective into the positives. I learned the power that perspective has. It can turn hurdles and obstacles into stepping stones for self discovery. I have a very simple message which is about changing perspective, and I want to conclude with if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's
So,
all.
good cop or bad cop? Apparently, between bad cop, the both of you are.
Oh no.
We didn't come here to be insulted. Very much. But it's actually going to be good, cop, because I thought your logic was impeccable. I love the way that you took something that is universal and you made it relevant to everybody. I love the way that you took something that is characterized as a difficult situation and you turned it into a superpower. The way you connected it with the perspective, the empathy, the way that you finished it. What I particularly loved was that the energy that you had up here brought the audience to you and not vice versa. Like I could feel the audience behind me coming to your energy, and your energy was beautiful. You have a beautiful speaking voice, and so I'm definitely a good cop.
Thanks.
Really, I really enjoyed that.
Definitely, I can sign below everything Cormac said. The only one thing that I would say to you at the very beginning that you turned to click, probably it was just this, because you realize after. But all in all, you have a very good presence. You calm. It's good to see it. Your story was very neat, and I'm absolutely sure that you hit many people's hearts.
And if you do it again, keep the family photos, lose everything else.
Oh.
You don't need it. Okay?
Thank you very much indeed. Change now. Also, different kind of energy. So this is from Karen Uja, whose speech title is Fine Line Between Humour and Offence. A fintech professional by day and an advocate of dark, controversial comedy by night, while he spends his daylight hours innovating about the way we think about startups, finance and technology, his evenings are dedicated to pushing the boundaries of humour, often landing him hot water, but always in pursuit of a laugh. A warm welcome, please, to Karen.
Good evening, everyone. Imagine a warm, sunny afternoon in Barcelona. You're scrolling through your social media and you come across a joke which makes you pause. Not because it's not funny, but because it's on the line of being hilarious and potentially offensive. That moment of hesitation, that split decision to laugh or to cringe, is what brings us together here. My name is Karan Ahuja, and I've spent a good part of my life making jokes that dance on the razor edge of offense and humor. Why? Because I believe that humor, in its most controversial form, has the power to reveal the truths of our societal norms and our personal insecurities.
I've been told, often told, that having a humor like mine is not considered normal. Everyone on this planet is different in 1,000 different ways. Everyone's version of normal is different. But they believe that their version of normal is the only one acceptable. And my version of normal is wrong. So let's start off with a simple truth. Offense is subjective, influenced by your personal beliefs, experiences, and biases. When someone reacts negatively to a joke that you make, it's often more about their perspective than your intent. I once did a stand-up comedy show for IESE students, and the response I received was unexpected. It was very polarizing. Some people were impressed by the courage I'd shown. I just said jokes that everyone thinks but don't have the courage to say. And the others, many, were offended because these guys took these jokes personally. It was something I hadn't expected. So in that moment, sitting in front of a live audience, I learned an invaluable lesson. Offense is in the eye of the beholder. Humor, especially dark humor, thrives on the unexpected, the shock value. It binds us together. It's a language that you speak with your close friends, with your circle. But this language is not universal. What makes you laugh may just as easily offend you, somebody else. So it's very difficult to find out what may offend you. So, what makes a joke offensive? I had a very important interview last month, which unfortunately I got rejected from. So I was sitting in this cafeteria, absolutely dejected, in the corner, did not want to speak to anyone. A really close friend saw this and he decided to come over and sit next to me. He looked at me and said, "Hey, do all Indians smell of curry or it's just you?" And I laughed. Why? Because in my moment of vulnerability, he wanted to cheer me up by making fun of me. And it worked. It also opened him to being vulnerable, which is why I called him an ugly Brazilian. Which is an attack on his vulnerability because Brazilians generally are very attractive. But this wasn't. So let's address the elephant in the room. The hypocrisy of offense. We've all seen it. Outrage in response to one joke, but laughter in response to the other. So then maybe this isn't about sensitivity. It's about selective outrage that clouds our judgment. In my experience of comedy, thousands of comedy shows, comedians, audiences, I've learned a lot of lessons. Behind each laugh, each frown, each smile, it teaches us that our humor does not exist in a vacuum. It interacts with an amalgamation of our personal beliefs, our sensitivities, our biases. And it's in this interaction, humor finds its biggest challenge to connect. So, where do I draw the line? What makes the joke offensive? I think these are very complex questions with no simple answers. Why? Easy. Offense isn't given, it's taken. Everyone has a different threshold. Tough. how do we make jokes? So I think that humor is a reflection, humor in its essence is a reflection of life. Messy, unpredictable, and more often than not, uncomfortable. I think a great joke, a truly memorable one, does not need to punch down to lift us up. The real lesson here is about empathy and understanding. Let's use humor to learn from each other and realize that in the end, we're all just mortal human beings, beautifully diverse in our sensitivities and sensibilities. Intention is important. So, today I invite you guys to learn from the power of humor. Let's navigate this complex landscape with an open heart, an open mind, willing to forgive, to grow, and to learn. I leave you with this one final thought. Humor is great, humor is beautiful, but it's a very personal thing. Some people may get it, the others may not. Some jokes are so private that they make sense only to two people. And that's humor. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
I loved it. You come back and Julia, but that has made me want to come to see one of your comedy shows.
Thank you. I'm doing one next month. No, the jokes I make wouldn't be allowed in IESE. I was not allowed to have slides because. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Karan. I'd like to introduce you to my friend Tulia from Brazil.
I said Brazilians were attractive.
Absolutely, of course. Okay, what I really loved about your speech was this really great to kind of intellectualize what works and what doesn't work in comedy. You come out with a couple of things. Their perspective is not, it's their perspective, not your intent. Offense isn't given, it's taken. Those are debatable, and I think you needed to maybe back it up a little bit more. I mean, that's your opinion, so then you stand over it. I think in a speech about comedy and how offensive it could be, I think if you had a couple of zingers in different places to show, which you had the one about, okay, that one. If you'd had maybe
You can't say that. I can't, you can't say that.
that's why I said. Any more lessons?
Yeah. We can say it together, but you can't.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. But if you'd had a couple, like 3 or 4 zingers where you said, when I said this at a comedy, and then you explored the intellectual, and then that, then it would have made it much more like, I think that's a great speech. And if you did it again, a couple of offensive jokes, and you explain the reason behind why they're offensive or not, would have been fantastic. Because it was a hugely enjoyable exploration of what comedy is, but I think you could have backed it up with a couple of references of your own jokes even better.
Definitely a thought-provoking topic, because it's your perception about against everybody else's perception. Some agree, would disagree, even like when you say offensive is a given, is not given, is taken, says you, says un. And I found very interesting, and I thought to myself, I would love to sit with you and discuss that, debate about it, because it is engaging topic. However, from the perspective, the perception from me looking at you, I found very interesting. There are sometimes when you're talking about something that you feel that people are not so much in favor, you closed yourself. There was the moment you were here, you were talking, and when you said, so what makes a joke offensive? And you were in this position for a while, which for me gives it the impression that you really feel that you were being attacked for thinking something like that. And there were other situations where you had you kept your hands closed, but these were when you were saying something that probably people have disagreed with you, against your idea, and it was very interesting for me to see how unconsciously you closed yourself. So my task for you would be analyze your points, really go into deep of your feelings of what you really believe, and then come with these beliefs so then we can believe in you. Because I felt few question marks on your own arguments there from your side.
We're in trouble now. She's giving out homework. Everybody should be scared, but really well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Up next, we have a Business Communications Club member, Tanvi Mittal from MBA 25. Hailing from India, Tanvi is an MBA student blending business acumen with culinary passion. From sorted startups to seasoned corporations, she will share business lessons through the art of cooking. Good luck.
Now, it might not look like when I first came in here, but allow me to share a secret. I have an extraordinary superpower. And no, it's not about flying or capes. This lies in the confines of our humble kitchen. The superpower is that I can conjure up a wholesome meal just from 2 or 3 ingredients. And I wasn't born with it, neither was it a result of a radioactive spider or a cosmic event. It's something that happened because of my own culinary journey when I first landed in Barcelona. Like many of you, few moons ago, I left my home country to be in the city of Barcelona. The city greeted me with a lot of tapas, a lot of jamón, and really, the meat reigned supreme. However, I kid you not, 1 week into Barcelona, I was 50% patatas bravas. Because here's the twist, I'm a vegetarian. So I long for flavors of home. And so to satiate my longing for the home cooked food, I turned to my kitchen. Now, it wasn't an easy journey. I spent around 40 minutes in the beginning just to make one meal, only to devour it in 5 minutes, and then the excruciating pain of cleaning it all. However, in my journey, slowly and eventually, I discovered not only certain spices, new recipes, but I also unearthed few business lessons from kitchen. And today, I'm going to share that with all of you here. The first lesson came with the imperfect chole bhature. So, for the uninitiated, chole bhature is an Indian classic. It's a chickpea curry with an Indian bread. And one day, I decided to call a bunch of friends over and cook them chole bhature. Now, this wasn't the best decision because in my head, I wanted to replicate my mother's recipe. Blame it because I'm a perfectionist. So in my head, it was a complete disaster. I didn't do it as well as my mother would. And sheepishly and very sadly, I served this to my friends, some of them who are here, thinking that I have made a big disaster and I haven't reached perfection. But you know what happened? I was not only told, but literally shown that the food was finger-licking good. So there's a lesson here. Do not aim for perfection, aim for authenticity. Because perfection is the enemy of progress. In your life, my dear friends, you'll go out, but here is the thing. Do not aim for maybe the perfect company, the ideal team, the perfect data set. Because as I said, it is the enemy of progress, and progress happens when you adapt, you experiment, or even when you take that first step. So stop looking for the perfect recipe and start cooking. Lesson number 2, efficiency matters. Now, in my culinary journey, as all the MBA students, it would ring a bell, I wanted to put to use my MBA operation lessons. So in no time, I started meal prepping on Sundays batching my dirty dishes, and even multi-processing to reduce my cooking time. And voila, the 40-minute time that I used to take for cooking came down to 15 minutes. And even the cleaning became more and more efficient. The kitchen literally became my own personal supply chain challenge, and in no time, it became a lean, mean production line. So what's the lesson here? Cut the unnecessary, focus on what truly matters, save the time, and savor the results. As future leaders, you might and you will experience complex problems, complex processes, and maybe complex organization structures. Remember the wisdom of the kitchen. Optimizing the processes not only saves you time, the resources, but also your sanity. And you know what? Even Gordon Ramsay would save his time by mincing his word or his onions. Lesson number 3. Adaptability is the spice of your life. In life, like in the kitchen, adaptability is the secret spice. You know, when you're making an Indian curry and you don't have coriander, no pasta nada, parsley steps in. You don't have a rolling pin, the one to make the dough, no problemo. A wine bottle comes to your rescue. Adaptability is not only about making the best out of that situation. It's something deeper. It's about really turning your constraints into creativity. And MBA life echoes the sentiment, dear friends, because markets will shift, companies will pivot, and unexpected changes will arise. You know who are the ones who thrive? The adaptable ones. The ones who make every setback turn into an opportunity, just like I did with my Greek yogurt-based Alfredo sauce pasta. So now, if you also want the same superpower, remember the 3 key takeaways. The perfection paradox. Do not wait for the perfect recipe, start cooking. Number 2, efficiency matters. Whether it's in the spreadsheets or the saucepan, streamline your processes. And number 3, adaptability is the spice of your life. Now, as we come to an end of this culinary journey, I would urge you all to turn to your kitchen, not only for nourishment, but also these life lessons. So with that, bon appetit, mi amigos. Go forth and season your destiny.
Well done.
You too.
Thank you very much for your speech or presentation. And I loved the analogy you made with the kitchen, life, business, because it's something that we all can relate to and can understand to the cooking process and the experiences in the kitchen. My suggestions for you would be, when you say, I have superpowers, own the space. You spend your whole speech talking and walking from one side to another. And when you're doing this, if I am here talking to a side to another, I start making people dizzy. And it's very difficult to follow because you're always talking and I'm looking pictures, I'm looking at you, I'm listening to you. There's so much for me to process. Own this space, own your superpower. Because also this go to the previous speaker, Karen, was it? Because every time you're trying to persuade people with your thoughts, with your ideas, because you had 3 clear messages for us, which were great. First, you cannot persuade people when you walk. You need to own the space and then share your message so that they can give them time to digest. Mm-hmm. So that would be my suggestions to you.
Just building on that, Tanvi, that moving around was an expression of nerves because I'm nervous and it's harder to hit and moving target. But I would agree with Tuli in the sense that, the clarity of your thought, the structures, the transitions, I mean, it was all incredible. It was really well done. The messages were very clear. Nobody would walk out of the room going, well, what was she trying to tell us really? But when you do step into that message, when you do take that moment in the speech and the energy's going up and down, like Tulia said, stop, breathe into that energy, because I thought your connection with the audience was fantastic, but you ran away from it quite a bit. And that's nervous, but you'll get better at that. Do that speech again. Build in those pauses, know when you stop and know when you give full front to the audience and get the energy in, and that speech will take another jump. But certainly in terms of content and structure, it's very impressive.
Thank you so much.
Right, on to our eighth speaker now. This is Erin Edward from Indonesia, whose speech title is My Favourite Place in the Library. A nature enthusiast and avid traveller, an adventurous spirit who finds solace and inspiration in melodies from around the world. Erin is a professional in business development and marketing within the retail industry. Well, let's hear from her now with a warm round of applause. Welcome.
It wasn't until the sunset that I realized I was somewhere up north of the globe, surviving the nights with temperatures below zero, indefinite contrast to a place I called home. I was there, looking out of my window, greeted by white scenery, and then get ready to my favorite place in the university, the library. I was making a toast and a tea before everything that will happen every day. As if it has been assigned for me, the corner, my favorite seat, has always been almost empty for me, and indeed, it's the best thing ever. So when the snow falls, I see it's like the scene of the movie. And then when the sun sets, the light shines to me, make me relax after all of my activity during the day. It has a big window where I can see and witnessing people passing by. I saw the dynamic of everyday life. I saw their laughs and also their facial expressions. On this night, that seat was not the usual comfortable place that I used to work. It was a witness of a place where I sighed endlessly. Have you ever been in your life that you need to make a decision that will impact the rest of your life? A single decision, a simple one, but then it would affect the whole story of the book. I was there. Just a simple matter, just to make a decision whether I have to book a flight or not would change the rest of my MBA journey in here. If I had rebooked my flight earlier at that time when I had a chance, the flight wouldn't have raced, and then none of this would have happened. Yet, I learned a lot from that night. If I had rebooked my flight earlier, I wouldn't have been able to come back because I found out my visa, my US visa was about to expire. If I had rebooked my flight also, I was not probably having a difficulty because I was waiting for my Spanish visa. Then eventually I got it one day just before my flight. So I learned a lot from that night. There was the proverb back home saying, with a tiny black dot, like all this may got spoiled. So I hope at that time none of this would have happened. But gut has the best thing for me, like that I don't know earlier. I didn't know at the time. Nobody knew. And in fact, we'll never know what will be our future, what will happen in our life. So at that time, I was reflecting, and then there are a couple of lessons that I can share with you today. So first, we need to prepare things ahead because we will never know when things turn wrong. And second, we also need to always have a backup plan because when things go wrong, we need to move ahead and forward. And the last one, we need to trust ourselves, to be able to accept our mistakes, and then to take lessons from there. Because when you keep believing yourself, every day as we're getting older, we learn about ourselves, we learn from our surroundings, and then we try to accept everything, and we try to improve to make decisions better. So eventually, at the end of the day, we can make decisions wiser and better. So the last one that I want to share with you, if you keep believing yourself, your time will come. Thank you very much.
Well done, Aaron. Start with you, and your key takeaways.
Sure, Aaron. So I think this is an example of lots of different elements inside the speech. I think probably you should have started the speech with the bigger question. What happens when one decision can change your life? If you've gone from that part, and now we know the story about a flight, I think the previous story with the snow and the library and stuff, I don't know that it added to the bigger sense of the drama when the big decision came. So I would have maybe have lost that, or I would have brought it round and said, look, I was in the library when that decision came, I was waiting for a visa, but your story started then. I think obviously you were a little bit nervous today. That can happen. This is one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of slides, because you did find yourself depending on the slides as you moved through the speech, and I think that maybe inhibited you a little bit. And I think if you'd maybe lost the slides and you stepped out and took center stage and told your story as you lived it, I think it would have been much more powerful for you. Okay, I like the three learnings that you left us with, but I think maybe I would reorder and structure the speech in a way that worked better for you.
To add to what Corman said, when you're telling stories, how we tell the stories is our experience, right? So we tell from here, from how we felt, how it was, and it comes in a way. Think about if you were telling this same story to a friend of yours. You were telling your story from here. And when the story is still here, means you're still processing what you have to say. And this is why you get lost, because you are still thinking. And because you're thinking, there's too much things for you to think, to look. There's people, they are listening to me. But when you enjoy your story, my suggestion next time, record this story, listen to it to yourself, and then you start telling this story to anybody, to your phone, until you can tell it from your heart. You will see that it will come much easier for you because you were a good storyteller. You had a story there, but you were too much in your head. So much that you didn't realize that you had those slides in front of you, that you were still looking back here.
Thank you. Well done.
Thank you. Now I'm going to introduce speaker number 9, so we're nearly done. We appreciate all of you staying back. We know the event was announced with sort of late notice and very busy days. Up next is Ali Jain from India and IESE 35. Graduated from NYU Engineering in 2018, after which he joined an investment bank in New York City. He then returned to India in 2021 to launch his own AI-powered edtech product with a goal to educate the masses. Today, Ari is going to be presenting Finding a Needle.
Picture this. It's 6 p.m. on a cold March evening in New York. The hustle and bustle of the office rush is made even more hectic by the downpour of rain. The hot dog guy is suddenly shutting his cart. People are fighting for cabs. There's chaos everywhere. At the time, I'm a 22-year-old intern at Lotus Capital, working late into the night as I'm trying to turn this internship into a job. Graduation was approaching. All my peers had jobs, but I was struggling. Now, I know many of you in this auditorium know what that feels like. The alternative for me was the dreaded return to India. Don't get me wrong, I love my country, but nothing compares to New York in your early 20s. So, to prove my value at this firm, I would do absolutely anything. No task was beneath me. I'd be the first one there, I'd be the last one to leave, I'd be dressed in my Sunday best, glasses, lucky watch. That evening, I was buying storage containers and running back to the office. In the pouring rain, no umbrella, boxes bigger than I am, I can hardly see where I'm going. And then all of a sudden, there's a woman and I need to dodge her. So I sidestep. Now I sidestep onto a rain grate. Now these are made of metal. So in the rain, it was like stepping on ice. I came crashing down. Boxes flying in the air. And the lady I was trying to dodge, I slide tackled her. Straight red card. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Oh, I'm so sorry. I really have to get back to the office. My body was in so much pain, but I worked through till 1 a.m. pushing for this full-time role. So I get home exhausted, getting ready for bed, doing my usual. Wait, where's my watch? I swear, I put it on this morning. Where's my watch? And mind you, this is not just any watch. This is a sentimental piece. It's my mother's first gift to my father. So naturally, the panic starts building in, and I'm frantically searching my entire house. In the middle of the night, I go back to the office. I'm checking every possible corner. I mean, where could it be? It's 3 a.m. I'm running low on ideas. My roommate asks, "Dude, could it have fallen when you crashed into that woman?" Yes, of course, that's it. But that's also when my heart sank. I dropped this watch in the middle of rush hour Manhattan while it was raining. I mean, I'm never getting it back. Where do I even begin to look? It's like finding a needle in a haystack. I'm nearly in tears. I'm speaking to, well, I don't know what I'm going to say back home. I know my mom's going to be, "Oh, no, it's okay, beta. It happens. It could happen to any of us." But at the end of the day, this was a family heirloom, and it was my responsibility. I tell myself, you have to try. Regardless of how impossible it seems, you have to try. So, first thing in the morning, break of dawn, I start retracing my steps around where I fell. I'm checking every trash can, under every car, under every piece of litter on the street. 30 minutes, nothing. 60 minutes, nothing. 90 minutes, and I'm a block away, still nothing. And then 2 hours in, I catch the tiniest glimpse of a shimmer coming through one of the rain grates. It's the first ray of hope I've gotten. I mean, for all I knew, this could be coins or a chain, but I had nothing else to go on. I immediately called city services. Like, "Guys, I need your help. You need to get down here. Oh, we'll take 4 hours. There's no way I can wait that long. Everything is moving around in the rainwater. I need to act now." I'm standing over what I think is the watch, trying to figure out how can I get 30 feet under the ground to pull this out. And out of nowhere, inspiration strikes. I see a nearby flower shop. So I go in and I purchase a bunch of sticks and wires and tape, and I fashion this 25-foot hook to try to get this watch out. Now, I'm not religious, but I was praying to any God that would listen. Please, please let this be it. Please let this be it. Got something on it. And then, against all odds, well, take a look.
Oh my God.
I still can't believe that happened. Anyway, it's a real experience. It's not about a watch. It's a lesson in fighting the odds. I mean, really think about it. What were the chances I found that watch that day? How tempting would it have been to just throw in the towel, call it quits? You missed 100% of the shots you don't take. So always take that shot. And sometimes, just sometimes, you do pull a needle out of the haystack.
Well, that was fun. Great video, by the way. What did the judges think?
Well, I think you should be reading audiobooks for a living. Your voice. Really, but I mean, it added so much to the story because you were clever. You knew where to put the inflection in your voice. You knew where to bring the energy. When you had different points in the story, you were able to bring that sense of panic, that sense of happiness, this and that all came through your voice. And then the physical actions you did were fantastic because it added to it. But it was also very clever in the way you constructed the story, in the way you had the tension, you had the pace, you were able to build on it, you were able to bring us up, then bring us back down, then bring us over again, then bring us back up again. You know, it was a bit of a lesson in almost a master class, really, in stuff that you were able to pull off today, I have to say. I was really impressed, and I think that's because all of the elements that you worked them separately and then you brought them together. You were, as I said, clever in all of your choices, I feel. So congratulations.
You came to the stage confident, even before they had finished introducing you. I like that, but I would have waited until they finish to arrive because it's their time and then it's your time. Your opening was great. It was I could feel New York, the birth, and I signed down for everything that Cormac said. The only thing I would add to you for you to pay attention, because, I had forgot to say, I like the blinking to me when I was there. I like that. But at the beginning, you were looking a lot at us. And this is something that happens sometimes because you were conscious about us there. We like attention, but you have the whole floor for you. And you did have a very good eye contact, but also you shared a lot of time looking down. So just pay attention on that. Keep the eye, and if you look down, it's intentionally, not because you're thinking still telling the story. But excellent.
Thank you.
Great.
Final speaker. This will be a great one. So please take this one. This is Sean from India. Her title is Small Gestures. Sean is a seasoned development professional with over 7 years of experience championing gender equity, environmental conservation, and education. A former Teach for India fellow, she dedicated herself to teaching and mentoring students in underprivileged schools. As an ambassador for esteemed organizations like World Merit, Climate Reality, and WWF, Jan has galvanized thousands of young people towards sustainable development, advocating for the global goals with UNDP. Beyond her impactful work, Jan has also excelled professionally as a filmmaker, a model, and represented a country in one of the world's most prestigious pageants, Miss Earth. Wow, welcome. Imagine you're 12 years old again, and it is the day of your birthday. Now I'm going to ask you to think about something. If you could wish for anything, and I really mean anything under the sun, the biggest thing that you could think of for your birthday gift, what would you wish for? Now hold that thought. First, let me tell you a life-changing story from a really unexpected situation. At 21, I was responsible for a class of 75 fourth grade students in one of the largest slums in Mumbai. Back then in the day, even though I was a teacher, my kids used to call me Didi, a term of endearment meaning an elder sister in Hindi. Now, we were in a really challenging and unique situation. The school that I was teaching in was underserved and under-resourced, and the kids that I taught came from difficult backgrounds. In this situation, as teachers, we wanted to make sure that we were doing everything that we could to support and give opportunities to these students. This is why we introduced extracurriculars after school a few days a week. And this time, on this particular evening, we had invited a few students to stay back for football practice. However, there was one student who we had not called, but he refused to leave. Hussain looked up at me and said, "I will not go home until you come with me." I was perplexed. Hussain, you do know that I have to stay back for practice with the rest of the kids, right? Their parents have been informed and they will be coming later to pick them up. Also, we've not informed your parents so far. So imagine how worried they're going to get if you don't go back home now. And also, have you seen the time? It's going to get really dark really soon. So please, Hussain, this is non-negotiable. You have to go back home now. Reluctantly, Hussain got up and he left. An hour later, when football practice got over, I started walking towards the gate to go back home when, you guessed it, there he was, standing in the corner, just waiting. It was already very dark, so we knew that we had to drop him home now. So another teacher and I started walking back home with him. It was here that Hussain disclosed that it was actually his birthday that day, and that's why he wanted us to come home with him. As we reached the door of his house, I saw his 3 sisters waiting outside, preparing a birthday card for him. Inside, in the corner, I saw his mother standing near the sink trying to cook and clean simultaneously. In the middle of the room, there was a singular bulb that was dimly lighting the room, hung by an exposed wire. The walls had never been painted, and the bricks were bare. The floor had a bunch of things sprawled across it, covered with a bed sheet, because this room did not have any cupboards. And there was a small bed in the middle of the room. His mother looked at us and requested us to sit. She asked us how we were, and then she started telling us her story. I learned now that Hussain's father had left many years ago and never returned. And Hussain's mother was responsible for him and her 3 daughters, from putting food on the table to making sure that her 4 children went to school and that she was paying the rent and also working. As she continued to speak, she started weeping. Her situation was dire. In this moment, my heart sank. I looked at Hussain, looking at his mother, break down right in front of him on the day of his birthday. I thought, no child should have to go through that. And I immediately got up as an impulse, went next to him, and in an attempt to distract him, I said, "Hussain, I have a question for you.
If you could ask for anything, just anything under the sun, and think really big, okay? What would you ask for as a birthday gift? He took a minute, thought about it seriously. Then he looked up at me with a glint in his eyes and he said, Didi, can I please have a cake? A cake. Until this moment, it had never occurred to me that Hussain had not once had the opportunity in 11 years of his life to eat a cake for his birthday. It was something so within my reach and something that I had always taken for granted. So needless to say, the next minute we were out the door to get Hussain the cake that he wanted. I will never forget the joy on his face that day as he cut and ate that cake. I just couldn't believe that something so small could mean the world to a child. Sometimes it's the small gestures that make the big impact. Since then, I've thought about this moment when Hussain had somehow made me feel gratitude, immense gratitude, and shifted my perspective. But the biggest lesson for me that day was how powerful I was to make a difference in someone's life, even with the seemingly small gestures. We're all here at ESA. We talk about creating the big impact once we graduate. We are here with our talents, our skills, and we often think of that day when we're in that big designation, making impact at scale. But here today, I'm here to remind you to step back and really think about how we don't really need that big designation, that big company, or massive resources to do this. I urge you to think about the people in your life, perceive their needs, and make it happen. And if you don't know where to start, I'm going to point you right towards the Social Action Club right here at ESA. So you can take that action and get a head start. Finally, I hope that Hussain and his stories stay with you, always, and that it reminds you in the future to not wait, take that small gesture, and make the big difference.
That is yet another hugely powerful and evocative speech there.
Okay, Shanna, I think you are a gifted storyteller. I think every step of the way, I could almost picture Hussain in my head. I could picture the schoolroom. I could picture the home that you found when you went there to meet his mum. I think what you've done here is that you've brought that little boy, who potentially now is a man, but you've brought that little boy, you've put him in all of our heads. You've really given us an amazing call to action. I would say, just be careful when you've got that kind of energy in the audience, when you know that they're with you, when you're reading that they're engaged with you, keep going bigger. So don't dip with the join the Social Action Club, because that just was a dip for me. So if you keep going bigger and higher, then they can find a million ways online or go to do whatever they want to contribute to the world, because you've inspired them so much. So the only part of it for me that if I was coaching you, I would say change would be to take that dip out, because it kind of wasn't necessary. Okay, keep going bigger.
Exactly what I was going to say, because we follow you. You have a very good voice. You have presence. You own the space. You're calm. You share. You put we could see the story. I could see the story on stage. I could have the image of all the characters. So that point was not necessary. And I was thinking, what a great coincidence to have you as the last speaker with such a powerful message to all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So now the judges are gonna get a few minutes to select the winner and runner-up. How long is that gonna take you? Is 5 minutes enough?
We're hoping to post the results by the end of the week. Social media channel, please stay tuned. We're going to step outside quickly. Less than 5 minutes.
Okay. But meanwhile,
my lady.
The club president and Kita is going to announce a new leadership team for next year. Cormac, can we have a mic, please?
Okay, and some applause for staff on the stage. Welcome back.
Wow, the power of stories. At the start, we did say, right, that our stories bring us together. But guys, do you feel more connected today? Do you feel inspired? So let us give a big round of applause to all our speakers. Thank you so much for sharing us a little bit of you and inspiring us along the way. It means a lot. Now coming on to some announcements. Yes, the year is coming to an end. It has been quite an amazing year. I want to give a special shout out first. A shout out to Ankit, who is not here. He's watching us online. And he has been the VP TEDx, and he, along with all the TEDx team, including Dan, Miguel, and everyone, all the presenters, have done a tremendous job at hosting this event. So, guys, let us give them a round of applause. And if all can stand up, you'll be involved in the TEDx. Where are you guys? Also, outside the TEDx team, some of our members of the Business Communication Club existing leadership team is also here. And the club could not have been what it is today. We could not have done the activities we have done today without them, including Carmen, Margot, Dimitri, who was here, and everyone else. So please, please, please join me in thanking them for their amazing services and services. Okay. The next president, do I have to say that? I think I love this club too much. But can you please put your hands together for the next president of the Business Communication Club, Vasu Goel and Nazarberg, along with the VP TEDx, starting down. You can come on stage. That was the pause talking about. So I am signing off as your president. It has been a great year. I'll hand over the mic to them, but I just want to say, keep sharing your stories, keep owning your stories, and keep proudly living your stories, because our stories is what brings us together.
Thank you so much, Ankita. Honestly, none of us were prepared that we were supposed to speak on stage. But I would just say that I became a part of this club because the sense of community that I saw in terms of supporting every single student here to help them with storytelling, class participation, recruiting, events like TEDx was just super warm and empowering. And I think the leadership team has built such a strong foundation this last year. And our hope and vision would be to only take it forward into new heights. So I'm super excited to do that. And thank you so much to the amazing speakers over here. Honestly, you guys should be coaches and a part of the leadership team of the club next year. And I'll give it to Vasu now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ankita, for trusting us to lead your baby. Ghazal, I, and Sanchi, all three of us are super excited to take it forward. And our only mission is to give voice to everyone and give as much value back to ESA as we can. And we'll make sure that we build this club on the strong foundation that has already been laid and work collectively as a team, as a community to take it forward. Thank you.
So, unless Sanchi wants to read some words, we have the judges ready.
We have secured the TEDx license and we are super happy. So we are going to have the TEDx event early in February next year. We're super excited, hoping to have some really good speakers for you guys. So look forward to it.
Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you to all our attendants, both here and online. It means a lot that you showed up and you supported the speaker. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Nikita, and congratulations on what seems to have been a brilliant year. So the reason why we learn from lessons from unexpected places is that it challenges our perceptions. It's so important, and they can be found anywhere. It can be found, as we've seen, in nature, in music, in art, in chance encounters, in silence, in setbacks, and of course, as we've heard, in failure. So congratulations to all of our 10 speakers today. They've done a phenomenal job, would you not say?
Yes, absolutely. And there's something that I want to highlight, which is that they have to face something very challenging today, which is a small crowd. You know, rather than having a full stage, I think it is much more challenging to actually address an empty room. And in the case of them, which for most of them was, their first big attempt at public speaking, you had an additional challenge on facing a relatively empty room. So I congratulate you on that. And I also thank all of you that have managed to stay all the way to the end. Thank you very much.
Without further ado, we're going to bring back our esteemed judges onto the stage. Cormac Walsh, Julia Lopez. First of all, thank you so much for such incisive feedback. We really appreciate what you said, your comments. Well done, and I hope you've all learned from it as well. So I think first of all, we're going to start with the runner-up. So tell us why he or she chose.
First of all, I have to thank you all for being here. You're already champions for being here, for taking the time to put yourself forward. It's not easy. It was a short time. The time frame for preparation, everything was pretty much last moment, and you all did a good job. And it was very tough for the two of us to decide amongst only two. But take this, that you are all winners.
I'd like to echo what Miguel was saying when I was coming into the room. If there had been 200 people in the room, which hopefully there will be the next time, it's an easier crowd to work. So for those of you who got up here and were able to transmit those emotions, tell those stories in front of a largely empty room, that is a very difficult job. And I thought you did an incredible job with that. And so the runner-up. So there was a bit of a debate outside, but we went for this speech because we thought it really was a very fresh, different twist on something that we've heard about before. And so as the eldest child, I'd like to call down the middle child. Congratulations. Well, you go. So I'd like to say here, it wasn't just the fresh twist on it, it was the fact that your energy, the way you structured it, the way you brought the audience in, I thought that was really, really incredible. So congratulations.
You want to join us?
Yes. And from my side, as the president of the Professional Speakers Association in Spain, I would like to offer you 1 year of honorary membership to come and join us and keep going with your stories. The world needs your voice out there.
So stay with us. She can help us. Public speaking is a superpower, and being in an organization like that is a real forum for you to be able to hone those skills that you already have. And so the winner of this evening, and as Tulia said, you were all winners what you did, but I think the winner today, I feel Tulia has won twice in life. You know, he won today, and he also won when he found his father's watch. Really excellent. Well done. I think we talked about it when we gave you your feedback. You know, all of your choices were very clever. The way that the way that the choices you made all the way through were incredible. So congratulations to you and the energy you brought. Really, really deserving winner.
And the same, we would love you to become part of our community at the Professional Speakers Association Spain. So this is for you. I'll be in touch with you to organize your membership.
And in addition, so maybe he's won 3 times. He won tonight. He won the watch. And then, as Miguel has made reference in the beginning of the event, the wonderful Carrie is one of the best podcast hosts going. She has a wonderful podcast, various of them actually, and her prize is that she's going to dedicate a 1-hour podcast with you directly, with you sharing your, and with Carrie's talent and your voice, I can see that going to the top of the Spotify. So I'm going to let Carrie, because it's her prize. So Carrie, let
So yeah, this is called Notes on Leadership. So I co-host it with a leadership coach called Kristen Berry, and it's half of your backstory with your musical memories. So the musical memories that resonated at certain times of your life, and you tell us a little bit about your story up until now, and then as a bit of reflection on that, or a bit of symmetry, Kristen takes over and looks at your leadership story, both in the past, now, and in the future. So we look forward to interviewing you.
Thank you.
Congratulations to both your winners, to all of the contestants. A very special thanks from us 3 to the Business Communication Club, to Ankita, to Miguel, who's been doing 100 million jobs, to Dan, all of the people behind the scenes. Thank you so much. And I think Ankita's closing.
One last round of thank yous, which is to our team of coaches, the judges, Carrie, Oliver, who have come visited. So we'd like to give a few gifts to all of them. Thank you so much for your help. Oliver, do you mind coming to stage?
Thank you.
I said it before.
We've also had about 10 coaches around the world who have connected with our speakers to coach them on the preparation of their speeches. Many of them are not here, but we would also like to thank them for their support. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's good.
Names. Former. No, this is for Karen, that's for here. Let's get a final picture when we're done. There's a photo.
We're gonna do the group after. We'll all come down.
Thank you. All right.
Where's
We're
bringing everybody down.
Yeah, let's get the speakers. Everybody who participated on stage. Sanchi. We're gonna be serving some drinks and outside. And thank you to the crowd. Thank you to the crowd for staying.
Wow.
All right, we have all the team on stage. Yes. All right, do this.
Yeah.
Get on the picture. Okay, 1, 2, 3, BCC. 1, 2, 3, BCC. Woo! I know. 1, 2, 3, BCC. Yeah.
It's always nice. Recording.
Who never kill?
I'm going now. Enjoy it. No, 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 no. Now thinking I have to go
Stage like this. I only know like well my staying in Buffalo is small family, small life. This was
I would have saved someone.
really.
You think it's not possible to come out there? So where's the
This is Are we being listened? I just press it and where's the cursor? I hope she would kill me. What does it say? Just a city, learn more, continue.
Yes, I did. That's what I worked.
I used to do a lot of public speaking, like international level before. So I did want to do it.
No.
You should have told the joke also that you would have been banned from. Yeah, I will. I saw the news. I was like, I sounds like I'll come.
Hey, but like he's on.
Yeah, I have a very big skin.
I made both by the way. No, it's 20 days. Yeah. I'm not big.
Yeah, it's more than mine. Julian, cannot thank you and your team enough. You guys were amazing. Thank you so much. Sorry.
You're so nice.
How do you think you're looking for?
What?
Something. Join us for the
No, you were phenomenal. Thank you so much. Congratulations. It's great. Yes.
How did you do, man? Oh, that's awful. Yeah. Did you enjoy
What color is the cake?
And she was disappointed that she didn't get. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes, did get when you have to choose, you have to choose.
Yes, yes.
That's lovely, yeah.
Here.
We're gonna close that. So let's see how it worked, huh? Because I would get a recording from this.
Well, I thought in the very last minute, but